Please give it up for Corbett Gordon.
Thank you, Paul. When I was 63, my husband died suddenly. I was lost, devastated, angry. I didn't know what would come next, but I did know that I needed to give myself some space for my heart and my head to heal before I moved on. 18 months later, I moved back to Portland from our farm, and I resumed my life. And very shortly after that, a retired minister from my church got in touch with me and said, "There's a man in the congregation who has just lost his wife under similar circumstances. Would you be willing to meet with him?" And I said, "Sure." And we met, and we started to spend long afternoons after church in my garden, processing his loss as he slowly put himself back together. And that friendship evolved into more than a friendship. And we spent some happy times as I readjusted to being part of a couple. But we didn't have enough in common to really glue us together over the long haul. And that relationship ended. And I looked around, and I thought, I don't really have much opportunity in my everyday life to meet a man. It just isn't going to happen that way. What the hell? I'm gonna go online and see what I can find. So with the help of my daughter, who's like, Mom, old people always upload their photographs sideways. Let me help you with that. And these aren't the right pictures. Mom, you gotta sell it. You need pictures where you're smiling and you look happy and approachable. So she helped me with that part. I wrote the narrative. I went through and checked off the boxes, and I was honest, because what's the point of getting into a relationship with someone who thinks you're not the person you are? So yeah, by now I'm in my late 60s. Check. I'm a lawyer practicing part-time. Check. I like dogs. I have dogs. Must love dogs. Check. I like sushi. I like opera. I like camping. I like bowling. I like music. I really like folk, and I like blues, and I had lots of interests, and I checked them all off. And I sent it out there into the universe. And then I started looking at the profiles of the men. Well, I was on that really popular dating site where most of the men were a lot younger than I was, but there were some my age and even some older than I. And I start looking through, what do they want? Who are they? What are they up to? And so many of them have their pictures with their hand on a toy, an expensive car, an airplane, a little airplane, an RV, a boat, a Harley. And despite the fact that a good number of them looked like affable walruses, they were all looking for younger, slender, athletic, and toned women. That's one of the boxes they could check off. So I did meet a few men on that site. Let's talk about Steve. On our third date, Steve starts regaling me with the story of having been at a gun show, and he bought himself a blow dart thing. It's a pipe, and you shoot blow darts out of it. And he was very entertained, telling me that he had taken Playboy magazines and put the centerfolds around his living room and was shooting blow darts at them. Oh my God, that was a terrible, terrible visual image. Exit Steve. No, not at any age do we want a Steve. So I moved myself over to a different dating site online for older people. And I did meet some interesting people. One of them also liked opera, also liked sushi, also liked jazz. We had some interests in common. But he was what I would call a handyman. He was deep into PDA, public displays of affection. Now, he was really good at starting a woman's engine. But who wants to go from 0 to 60 in a booth at Jimmy Mac's? And who wants a guy who grabs her in the sushi restaurant with his mouth full of sushi for an open-mouthed kiss in the middle of a meal? No. Then I found a really interesting-looking guy online. His pictures were provocative. In one picture, he was wearing a Mounties hat and a little military jacket and these pants that were jodhpurs with like flares, and also he looked like somebody I'd like to get to know. And we met for coffee. And I took a screenshot of that picture and I said, "What's going on here?" And he told me that he's an actor, and he was dressed up for a part. Oh, okay. And then he wrote plays, and there was some chemistry and some continuing interest, at least on my part, and we agreed to meet for lunch. So a couple of weeks later, we meet for lunch up high on Terwilliger Drive at that place called the Chart House, just kind of a lovely setting. And we got a view table, and we sit down, and I didn't tell him it was my birthday, but I was feeling pretty darn special. And we start talking, and I said, "So since our coffee date, what have you been up to?" And he said, "Well, my daughter got married, and that's taken up a lot of my time, kind of helping with that." And I said, "Oh, that's nice. Where did she get married?" And he told me. And I said, "Well, did they take a honeymoon?" And he said, "Yes," and he told me about that. And I said, "Well, what do you think of the guy?" He said, "Well, I don't know what to think of him. He works at a big law firm downtown, and he's not a lawyer. I don't know what he does. I'm not sure that his job is secure." And I said, "Oh, I know somebody in my firm that just got married and took a honeymoon in the same place. Is your new son-in-law's name by chance X?" "Well, why, yes, it is." I said, "Oh, I can tell you what he does. He's dearly loved. I think his job is very secure. This is what he does at the office. Everyone really likes him." I'm gonna get a drink, hang on. So he starts realizing that I know his son-in-law. And our table gets very quiet. And he looks down, and he looks up, and he said, "I need to tell you something. I'm in a relationship with another woman." And I said, "Oh, is this the kind of relationship where she wouldn't want you poking around online and having lunch with me?" And he said, "Yeah, indeed it is." I said, "Well, you know we can't do this." We paid up and left. I haven't seen him since. Damn scruples are a bitch. So I'm starting to realize, particularly given the demographics of people in their late 60s and early 70s, that there may not be a Jack out there for every Jill who wants one. So I go back online. And I'm looking around at some ads. And I find a device that they will ship me in a plain brown wrapper, and they will send it to my P.O. box. So I push the button and order it for myself. And I wait. And I wait. And I wait. Where is it? Finally, I go to my P.O. box and I get one of those little yellow slips that says you have a package. But this time it says, instead of picking it up at that service window by the P.O. boxes, I'm to go into the main post office and pick up my package. Okay. So I get in line, and it's summer, and my local neighborhood post office is pretty busy because a lot of people are on vacation that work there. So the line is long. I get in line, work my way to the front of the line. Of course, by now the line is long behind me. There are lots of people in there. And I hand my slip over to the clerk at the desk, and she says, "Just a moment, please." She goes in the back. She brings out a box in a plain brown wrapper that's been opened. If the floor had opened up and swallowed me, it would have been fine, but it didn't. And she says, "Oh, we're very, very sorry, but this was misdelivered to another customer." Thank God it was a post office box, and maybe the customer didn't know who I was. Anyway, but she said, "But don't worry." And by now the postal employees who are still there are looking at me too. We didn't look at what's in the box. I grabbed that box and fled out of the post office. And I thought, okay, I really do. This isn't fulfilling all my needs, guys, really. I need to find a real life person. So I have heard about this organization that interviews you, does a thorough interview, interviews the men, helps pick out somebody who will be just perfect for you. You pay a lot of money to meet these people. But I knew someone who found somebody, so okay, I'm going to try this. So I fill out the questionnaire, and it took me an hour and a half because it was very thorough, very thoughtful. I was actually quite impressed with it. Circle the adjectives that you've liked in people you've met, circle the adverbs you've not liked in people you've met, add more detail, fill in the blanks, write a narrative in 3 years, in 5 years, whatever. I thought, wow, this is really going to be cool. So I turn that in. I go in for my in-person interview. Of course, then they come out with a deal. This is what it's going to cost you. And I thought about it, and I said, okay. I ended up purchasing for a lot of money meetings with 7 men. And they sent me the first couple of guys, and I was like, oh my goodness, these people are my age, but they're old. They're really old. I mean, there's no juice in them. I have slugs in my garden. I have slugs in my garden with more energy and interest than these men they're sending me. I can't believe I paid for these people. So I get on the phone and I say, look, hey, this is not okay. Maybe find me a younger man that wants to meet an older woman. I don't care. Let's. So they send me Jerry. Jerry drives down from Vancouver and meets me in my neighborhood at a little cafe for lunch. And it was Saturday, so things were very crowded. It was very busy. And, he had been sitting in the waiting chairs waiting, and he had our names. So as soon as I came in, we got seated at a table. And he was looking around and saying, what kind of neighborhood is this? I live in Northeast Portland. I mean, it's a nice neighborhood. What kind of neighborhood is this? I've never been in a place like this before. And he's commenting on the waitresses painted on freckles and her tattoos and her piercings. And he's looking sideways askance at the table of exuberant gay young guys sitting next to us who are having a good time at lunch. And then he says, I've got a really high-end pickup truck. And it's parked across the street in that parking lot. And it has bumper stickers on it that I don't think will be appreciated in your neighborhood. I need to leave. And I said, fine. And I just, at that point, threw in the towel. It's like, this is ridiculous. I am tired. I'm so much happier now that I'm not going online and looking at guys who don't want to look back, at meeting with people who aren't interesting. And I just stopped. I just stopped all of that craziness. And a year and a half ago at Christmas, I was at Christmas dinner with good friends, and we were exchanging little gifts. And a friend of mine gave me this ring. It's a fire opal. And she said, I'm giving you this fire opal because it reminds me of you. It's full of life. It's got energy. It's got passion. And I just love this ring. And I took it out of the box and I tried it on various fingers. And you know what? It fit perfectly, right on my wedding ring finger. And I put it on and I thought, okay, this is preemptive rejection, guys. I'm done.